Welcome everyone back to the Crimson 15 podcast. I'm your host, Crimson Sen.
15 PCA.
810-454.
Be sure to check us out over on Twitter at C15 Podcast. Join the discussion over on Discord, link in the description below. And if you're enjoying the videos, be sure to sub, like, share, and hit that bell for notifications. So, within the world of reboots, revivals, restarts, reimaginings, sequels, prequels, we talked about this. Man, it feels like we talked about this like a year ago, like 2 years ago. But King of the Hill, very popular Fox. This is when Fox had their animation, like they always had like an animated comedy.
Friday or Saturday, yeah.
And so King of the Hill, a very funny show. One of my most favorite, Fox, The Simpsons and American Dad. I think King of the Hill just had that. It was goofy, but it was like real. Like it wasn't like, like in American Dad where like unbelievably stupid things happen.
Right, or an alien walks in.
Yeah, so in King of the Hill it was more like rooted in reality. And Hank was such a straight-laced guy. And him, even in the 90s, him being so straight-laced was like a goofy guy. Like, oh, I can't believe he believes in these things. But today's time, I mean, Hank, I don't know if he could survive in the 2020s.
No.
It's the way he was and...
Right, yeah. Man, I couldn't imagine. Like, or even tell you the truth, even Bobby.
Yeah, see, so because Bobby's a very liberal kid. See, I remember I talked about this. The article on comicbook.com says it's going to be a time skip. So it's not going to be like, oh, Bobby's still a little kid. It's good. I wonder if they're going to keep it in time. Like, they're not going to go to 2010. They're going to go to today.
Yeah, 2023.
So Bobby would be what?
A young man, almost.
Yeah, he'd be a man. He'd be old enough to have his own family.
No,
Yeah.
he'd be in his 30s.
Yeah, he'd be like 28, 29 years old. He'd be an older guy. So I'm wondering... Like Bobby went to college, because he wanted to be like a comedian, right?
Yes.
But he also was really good at that beef thing. Remember the last episode? He went to that beef judging contest, and he won it. So is he gonna do that?
And also, you remember from Bill Dauterive, he actually
learned how to cook
and barbecue. So he has like two careers that he could easily do and do well.
Because he wanted to do comedy,
and he wanted to be, and he's really good at barbecue.
But yeah, he could either cooking meat or selling beef, and so he was really good at those two things. So I want to know what they will do with that. Like, is he gonna go to Texas? A&M? Is he gonna where did he go? I still want it to be like, oh, Bobby just was a loser.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he tried to be a comedian and he failed and he has to come back and live with his dad. Like, I don't know. Like, there's a bazillion different ways this can go.
Right.
And Connie, did he ever get with her? Did they break up? Did they...
would you like it if Bobby maybe had a kid and decided, hey, I'm a comedian, I'm doing great, but I want to raise my son or my daughter and moves back
the
home.
way I grew up. With,
yeah.
Then like he moves and he lives on the same street as his dad.
Right.
See, there's so many ways you can go with this. Is Bill dead? Because Bill would be pushing 60 something. He had diabetes. He didn't eat very healthy. He was he was self-harm.
Yes.
He tried to kill himself.
Well, and depending on what kind of ending you want, because I know some people, like fans, there was that secret ending with Bill where he just finally got over all his stuff.
Lorraine, and he started being a better person.
So maybe would you like I'd rather see either Bill pass away, which would make me sad, or him being healthy. Like him actually kind of getting out of his...
He's like in his 70s, but he's healthier than he was in his 40s.
Right. Where he almost looks better than everyone just because he actually... Oh, Bill was actually decent. He cleaned himself up.
There was the storyline where he was with Khan's mom, Leoma. Yes. And the funny thing is, they just stopped doing it.
Yeah,
because that was something with Fox. It's like, oh, they want the episodes to be able to run like in any order, basically. So they just got rid of that. But that was nice. He was like an old lady. The funniest joke about that whole situation is when Dale's like, oh, you scored with an older chick, you're the man. Yeah, this isn't high school anymore. He's a man and she's like an old lady. Yeah, you scored with an older chick, you're like the coolest guy now.
Also, it'd be kind of funny. All Dale's weird schemes and his conspiracy theories. Which, if nowadays he'd even be more validated of
he'd be like Alex Jones.
Yeah, he would be totally like.
See. Okay, let's talk about content here. With things like stuff in the news like transgender bathrooms and stuff. Do you think Hank would be okay with that? And the thing is, I don't think he would. But but are they going to change Hank and make him more
liberal?
Liberal. But would that be betraying the character? Oh, he grew and became something different, though.
What about Boomhauer? He hit on every
female. Yeah, he was a poonhound.
Any female that was decent looking, he would hit on. And today and age, you don't do that.
he'd be
Me Too.
canceled.
Yeah, Me Too. Yeah.
But there's so many things that we missed, like social media.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I know they did like technology with Hank, and he just like does not get technology. Could you imagine like TikTok, like Hank understanding? Like, could you imagine Strickland telling Hank, "Oh, you have to make us a TikTok account, Hank. Get on that." Like,
Yeah.
And he's like, "Whoa!" He doesn't know. See, there's so many things you could do. Is Strickland dead? He'd have to be.
Oh, maybe. And then he's like finally the manager.
Like the owner. Like, did he? Boy, remember Strickland has a son.
Yeah, and and that would be kind of a funny concept of like kind of like raising Strickland's kind of son into the business, and then again still being that second in command. But that's how Hank is. Like
he likes being the second guy, the right hand.
Yeah,
that's like his thing.
So,
but because at this time we're talking Hank's retirement age. But do you think Hank would ever stop working? Ooh. Like, cause he's like one of those guys that'd be like, I have to go to work.
Yeah,
and he'll die working.
Yeah,
because that's the kind of guy he is.
I couldn't see Hank be retired. He's just not.
Because remember, their whole thing was like, oh, they're gonna ride motorcycles around the country.
Yeah,
that was like their retirement plan. Him and Peggy were gonna do that. But there's so many, like Peggy. She's one of the funniest characters in the world.
How would she deal with all this? Because she's still going to be substitute teaching.
And the thing about Peggy is she's more connected to the world and trying to be like part of the world. But with all like how crazy things are, I don't know, would Peggy be like, whoa, boys want to be girls and you have to respect that? I think Peggy would try
and then get wrapped up in it, and then
But then what about your husband? Your husband, and then they try to get Peggy to cancel her husband.
Yeah.
So but she loves her husband too. So there's 1,000 storylines here, but where are they gonna go with this? Are they gonna make Hank is just a stupid fuddy-duddy idiot? Let's make fun of him, because Hank had a big heart and he was a good man. Mm-hmm. He may not have been the most gentle person, but he had a really big heart and he was a good person. Cotton's son. Hank's little brother.
Oh, yeah, good Hank.
Good Hank. Good Hank's going to be... He's going to be like 20-something, right?
Yeah.
20, 30 years old, so good Hank's going to take over the business. And when you say that to me, Dad, it makes you like that I'm bad Hank. And he's like, oh, you finally getting it, boy. There's so many funny things, because I forgot about his boy.
Yeah.
Luann, Brittany Murphy's dad.
Yeah, that's always sad.
Here's the thing. I don't mind recasting people. Things happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want Luann to be excluded from the show because Brittany passed.
Right.
So
because she had a pretty pivotal part. She had a daughter.
Yeah.
Married Lucky.
Yeah. Even though Lucky he's funny. He's like the super redneck version of all the characters. They're rednecks. He's like mega redneck.
Yeah. He's dumping engines in people's trash cans. Like, oh my goodness, guy.
He'll change the oil on his motorcycle in your living room. That's the kind of guy this is.
Yeah.
And slept on pee-pee at the Costco. That's not a job application. That's not a work history.
Yeah.
But, so they had a daughter. She's going to be 20-something years old.
Yeah.
Joseph,
that's right, yes.
John Redcorn. Did Dale know that Joseph wasn't his son?
Do we even touch that?
I don't know. I don't know what to think. Because there's times where it's like, oh my God, how could he not know? But does he just say, I love my son, I don't care where he came from? Remember they got him to believe that an alien abducted him, took his sperm, abducted his wife, impregnated her because he was like at some like alien conference when he did the math in his head. And then he's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like, he totally like bought that.
And he's like, repressed memory coming back. Like, dude, almost like you gotta know. Like, you're just pretending just to make your son feel better, right? Like...
But he loves him though. Like when Peggy was gonna tell him, and then he's like, "Oh, here's some money. You can go down to the video store." It's like, "Oh, do I ruin this family?"
Yeah.
And then you don't. And I do like the fact that she stopped screwing around.
Yeah, she ended up going back with Dale.
Dale, even though it was like making her lose her hair, she's like, and she became like a faithful woman.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really cool. For Nancy to like,
it was
grow as a character.
Yeah, it was really good growth for her. And like I said, that's what I'm worried about, because I want these characters to do better and actually make realistic growth, not do this weird kind of side lateral stuff where like Hank is dumb or like
killing characters. Because what if the street gets taken over by the kids now? It's Bobby living in basically Hank's old house. Joseph has his, and then like everyone just kind of is the neighborhood. The kids,
right? Do you have those old characters be more of like special guest appearances?
Yeah, like they retired and they gave me the house.
Yeah.
Oh, me and your mother are gonna move to Florida and live in our, you know, whatever. You got the house, Bobby, and he moves back to Texas. But I want to see Hank.
Yeah,
but he's gonna be so old.
Yeah, he's gonna be pushing a lot.
There's just so many funny little things that this show did, and some of the stuff was absolutely wild. Like, remember when Peggy was being the tutor for that Monsanto's guy, whatever, the father, the Spanish guy, and then she thought he was like in love with her.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh my god, he just starts laughing in her face, like, oh, that's got to make you feel like absolutely. Because first she thought, oh no, he's coming on to me and everything, and he's like, oh god, no, because his wife is gorgeous.
And they all start laughing.
And then she even starts laughing at her, like, oh god. Oh, Peggy, how could you mess this up? Oh my god.
That's so funny.
But she gets so full of herself. Oh my god, Peggy. She's a great mom, but there's times where she makes it all about her, and when it doesn't have to be.
And that's actually one of the problems, even with the original creator. They made Peggy so crazy.
Sometimes she goes way overboard.
Where you're like, wow.
But I like the episode where Randy Travis stole her song, and he really did. But when she says it, no one believes her because she's such a cry wolf kind of person. Mm-hmm. So everyone just thinks she's crazy, but this one time she's not. Like, she, honest to God, he stole her song.
Yeah.
And then I like the fact that Randy Travis played the voice of himself and then just basically went on saying, oh yeah, I'm a piece of garbage.
Yeah.
I thought that was great.
That's funny.
Yeah, so, and then just even little things, like, because they're big fans of, like, country music and all that stuff, and to even see how country music now is more like country pop.
Yeah.
And how Hank would be like, like...
See, there's a lot of episodes that were missed. Storylines that missed. Like, do they do a January 6th with Hank?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because Hank was a very patriotic guy. Like, he loved America and that. But would it be one of those things where, oh, now he's a Democrat because he can't believe what the Republicans have done? Like, do they do that to Hank?
The only thing is the guy who originally
Mike Judd,
also did Beavis and Butthead, and he kept it the same. But that's a lot easier to do with Beavis and Butthead.
But yeah, like in Beavis and Butthead, they're trying to teach Beavis and Butthead what white privilege is. So instead of like, that means I can do whatever I want and I have white privilege, they just walk into places and start taking things down. White privilege.
Start eating that guy's food from his plate.
That's how you do it. That was funny.
Because that's how they make it sound like that. Yeah. That's what that is. And
like,
the Beavis and Butthead. Really? It's like, oh, okay, cool. But it's so weird because I want this and I don't want this.
Yes, it has to be done right. And if it's not, it will be a big, big, like, travesty almost.
Here's what I wanted, like, my storyline. Bobby's more liberal, goes to college, pretty liberal guy. They're all kind of cracking down on their parents. Oh, my parents suck. And then Bobby's like, oh, yeah, parents suck. But deep down, he's like, oh, my God, my dad was a good man. Then it gets to the point where everyone's like, yeah, all those stupid people in Texas. Like, you know what? I'm sick of all you guys. You know, I'm not only don't hate Texas, I'm going to move back home. Mm-hmm. Because my dad was a good man. I know we didn't agree on everything, especially politically, stuff like that, but my dad was a good father. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, and then he goes back home and kind of has to bridge that gap between the man of the future and the man of the past. And then Bobby can be that bridge. That's how I would do it. And then you have funny, stupid hijinks. And
you can even have him have a family, have a kid, a son of his own, and then now going through the same things and be like, oh my gosh, my dad was right.
And then, like, wouldn't it be funny, like, you do the opposite, how Bobby was, like, very flamboyant and everything, and his son is more like Hank, where he's like, oh, come on, son, don't you want to try for the play? He's like, no, I don't want to be on stage. I don't want to do that. I want to build things. And so just be the opposite. I think that would be pretty fun to do that, too.
That would be funny. Mm-hmm.
See, but then is it the Bobby show and not the Hank show?
Right.
How do you...
Who truly is the king of the hill.
Yeah, they fight over who truly the king is. So there's a lot of fun ways they can take this. And I like Mike Judd. I think he'll do it well. But there's the potential to make this a Republican apology show. Where Hank has to go back and apologize for all the ways that he was. And I can see that happening too. Mm-hmm. Like Boomhauer. Did he ever get a wife and kids, or did he just like the forever bachelor?
Well, and see, that's the thing, because that would be one easy write-off to change Boomhauer by giving him a wife.
So maybe he fell in love with that girl, but she was just using him the way he uses women all the time.
Right, and then there's also the one lady that was going to marry his brother, but then didn't because he was kind of a jerk. So he really liked her. Like, Boomhauer really liked her. So maybe that could be a plot point.
But he was just so, I gotta be free.
Yeah.
And she was gorgeous and funny and kind. It's like, Boomhauer, you effing idiot. You
messed it up. Like, all of them were like...
I love that about that episode because his brother, who, it was...
Brad Pitt,
Brad Pitt paid his voice. And And then like he's like getting strippers and everything. He tried to blame it on Hank, and everyone was like, "Yeah, no." Hank wouldn't. The very idea of a stripper makes Hank go, "Oh." They wouldn't know what to do. Oh yeah, Hank's hiring strippers. Yeah, you figured it out.
No, the episode with Sugarfoots with what's her name? I can't remember.
Oh yeah,
Debbie.
Debbie.
The fact she's like, I'm gonna say no to your advances.
Like a woman would say,
Yeah.
"This is sexual harassment," and I get it.
I deny your advancement. Like what? Why is he saying it so like letter of the law?
Because he's probably read that sexual harassment pamphlet like 5 million times. Remember the episode where there's that hot Mexican chick that was completely qualified, but he didn't want to hire her because his wife was being a bitch. So he hired that piece of garbage man because his wife didn't want that pretty woman working there. But she actually knew the job. And I like how they did end up hiring her because the other guy was a piece of garbage. But even then, like he couldn't, like never, not in a million years would Hank ever cheat on his wife. Like the thought. And the same thing with Dale. I thought that was such a good episode where that other bug lady, gorgeous, was all over Dale. Because he's like a legend in the bug killing like community. And then she was like trying to sleep with him.
Yeah.
He goes straight home and tells his wife, like, "Do you know what happened to me? She was hitting on me. I couldn't believe it. Like she knows I was married. What a dummy." And then she's thinking, "Oh my God, this whole time I was cheating on him." And the first thing he thought to do was to confess to me.
Yeah, and to literally be like, "Nope,"
and blow her off.
Blow her off.
And I love how she couldn't say anything. He's like, "Well, you had John Rancourt was your friend, and I never stopped you from seeing your friend. What can she say?"
Yeah, it was pretty good.
And she's up all night worried that he's cheating on him. Why do you like him? Bitch. But the fact that he rebuked her, said he loved his wife, and just left her there.
Yeah.
Like damn. And Dale's not a catch. He's a very, very strange looking man. And he had the chance to be with this absolute knockout gorgeous woman.
And in the same hobbies, in the same field, everything. No.
Then she tried to like be part of his hobby, like throwing in the gopher. She's over and going, "What's going on?"
Throw it in the hole. She's like, "Oh my God."
In the hole. Ah! So there's just so many fun storylines they can do. I just hope nobody's dead. But if they do the time skip to this time, they gotta be.
Right. And like I said, unless Bill changes his lifestyle completely. Yeah, he's probably that, or he's gonna be really overweight, like really unhealthy.
Yeah, I don't want him to be like it's fun that he was such a loser, but it's time for him to step up and like, because he was like the man of the group when they were teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Like he's going in the military, he was fit,
he had a lot of chicks, he was like
big old long
mullet.
But then everything Lenore effed up his freaking life.
Oh, it was that.
When he was gonna be with the former governor of Texas, what's her face?
It's
Just like he was like dating her. What's up with him and dating really older women? That was like insane. Women that were like 30 years older than
that
he
or
was.
Peggy.
Yeah, and he was so obsessed with Peggy. Oh, then all of a sudden Hank, I would help raise the baby. She's like, "No, Bill, no, that's never gonna happen." Remember when they got in that pyramid scheme to sell those chocolate bars?
He was really good at it.
And he was doing everything for Peggy because Peggy told him to, even to the point to where it was like killing him. But he would do it for her. Then she's like, "Oh my God, I'm using this poor man."
Well, it was weird. But that episode was weird because Bill had such a messed up thing of like love, because Peggy would always treat him really bad.
He liked that.
And he liked it. At the second Peggy was actually saying, "No,
Being
you're
nice to him?
You're a good man. You're all these things." And I'm like, all this stuff. He hated it. He's like, "Get away from me."
Come go to the table. Let's have that shared. They give us this big bottle of champagne. We should share it. And he's like, "Oh God, no!" And then he's like, rather go sleep outside the hotel in a bush than be treated nicely because he's only ever had negative. "Oh, I love you. You hate me. Oh, I must love you more." Right. But as soon as you accept me, I don't know what to do.
And you notice how a lot of his relationships are like that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of sad. So hopefully, like you said, those
I
things
want him to become better, right?
Yeah, better, right? Where he's like, "Oh, love is when someone actually cares about you and reciprocates that."
Yeah. It doesn't just use you.
Or hate you, tell you bad things.
Then she had to fire him. She's like, "Sorry, Bill, you're fired." "Oh, no." He's like,
I can do it. Yeah.
"Oh, so more. It's like, we're done.
We're done. I'm quitting.
Because I'm literally working you like a mule that's going to die. And there'd be plenty of people out there that wouldn't mind doing that to you, but I can't anymore." And she knew that he likes her. So she was like using that.
Yeah.
The double diamond club, all that bull crap to like.
Which is always Peggy's fault. She always goes for all that. Ugh.
When she joined that Mensa thing, we're like, "Oh, you're a genius," and they lost all their money.
By the late Jerry Springer, right?
Was that Jerry Springer? Was him?
I think it was.
That was such a funny episode.
I can't remember. I have to look that up. But yeah, I thought it was. Yeah.
They tried to like get him to lose his money, but he was too smart. But then they just stole it anyways. But yeah, what a fun show that's had so many like crazy from beginning to end. There's so many fun stories there.
And it's kind of weird to think that it has so much continuity to it, where
Yeah.
like it has a lot of canon, so we're hoping that it doesn't get
And there was a lot of continuity, but like I said before, but like with Liloma, they just dropped her. Like she just disappeared.
Yeah.
And there's stuff like that. It's like, come on, let's keep things. But they always want Bill to be the loser,
Yeah.
no matter what.
And again, and you even notice that at the end of the series, because like man, there's some episodes that are really digging on Bill.
I mean, he slept with all his cousins.
Yes.
When Bill went back home, those girls were fine as hell.
And it was funny because Peggy goes, "Okay, there's one that's your cousin. The other two are fair game. You sleep with that one, you're going to hell."
Yeah, he slept all three
All
of them.
them.
He didn't care.
He didn't care.
I thought he would be inherit the estate
Yeah,
or whatever. And he's
yeah.
back in New Orleans.
His cousin,
His cousin was
Jean something. He's
Yeah.
very French, and I like how you would call young Master Bobby. Like the way he would talk, and he was just like,
Robert.
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 And I was like that when Hank tries to talk to him. He's like, "Oh, so how the New Orleans Saints doing this year?" "Oh, Hank, I know nothing about Saints, but I do know a few sinners." And he's like, "Ooh."
Okay.
He's like, "Oh my god!"
We're talking about football here, and he's talking about.
And he wanted to spend all the money on some stupid like newsletter,
Yeah.
like the to him manly, but it was just like a
like
poetry
and like how to dress and stuff like that. Like a small nothing newspaper where you could have used the barbecue that their family actually like
was good at.
And
But it's so funny. It's like they're servants. What he would say, like
Yeah.
they're slaves.
Yeah.
But I would like for Bill, because he taught Bobby how to cook, and like that was like his way of passing on his family.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope Bill, like you said, got better.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't want to know he lived to be 100, but just understood his self-worth and became a better person.
Right.
That'd be cool.
Either through death where they kind of honor him more, or it's through him being healthier and better.
But yeah, this is gonna come out soon. They're doing table reads last month, so hopefully we get something decent. It's gonna be on Hulu. So I hope they don't be like, "Oh, we're on Hulu and we can say the F word now." It needs to be PG-13.
Yeah.
Keep it the way it was.
Yeah, keep it the way it was.
Don't change it like that.
Crimson Sin here. Thanks for watching the video. Remember, liking, subscribing, sharing, and commenting on the video really helps out a lot. It gets the video spread around more people get to see the videos, and we get to make more videos for you guys. So thank you, and we appreciate every single one of you guys.